Now today we're going to be talking about how Isagi is becoming Noel Noa and Ego combined. He's using the skills and philosophies of both of them and has integrated them into his game to become an ideal form that takes both of their styles and mixes it together. First, let's start with Ego. Ego's words at the beginning of the series resonated a lot with Isagi. He brings up the egos of different strikers and starts to appeal more to Isagi and gain his understanding of how he views Japanese football. The words of Ego made Isagi shake as he had never heard those words before. Ego's mentality of soccer was unlike anything he had ever seen. He was so used to being a teammate and having all 11 players work for each other that he couldn't believe that someone else is saying play for the sake of your own goals and use your teammates as expendable. He tells him to become a star in the field and throw away all common sense. Ego has taught Isagi a lot throughout Blue Lock, and he goes on and on about the type of egoism he's looking for and just what kind of capabilities this specific striker needs to have to become the best in the world. Isagi crushes Nico and he feels good about it. He never thought that crushing someone else's dreams would feel this good, but he now realizes how fighting in a battle type system is fun and exhilarating. We see Ego smiling and noticing the change in Isagi as he continues through the story. He thinks back to how good it felt and still can't believe it. He had thought he was a messed up person for feeling this way, but in reality his ego is changing. He's becoming more like Ego after this point. Isagi knows the thrill of scoring, and now his heart desires for more goals as he experienced Blue Lock firsthand. Ego has been keeping a close eye on Isagi and has seen his skills for a while now. He knows the kind of player Isagi is from seeing his high school tapes, and he knows just how good he could be if he could mold Isagi into a great player. You can tell that Isagi's evolution is off the charts, and he's adapting very fast since when he first came to Blue Lock. Isagi's ego and personality starts to shift more into the second selection. He's not so nice and charming anymore, and instead understands what it takes to survive in Blue Lock. He knows he needs the ego to become the best striker in the world, and the only way to match that ego is by scoring goals. He now has cultivated ego-style football by using a system where your teammates all devour each other to win. An aggressive offensive system that Ego has distilled into all of them. Isagi still knew that his thinking was too shallow and decides to rewrite his common sense and destroy himself for the sake of winning. He knew that his old style of play will not work in Blue Lock and he needs to be more selfish and learn to win in one-on-ones, otherwise he would never be able to keep up with the geniuses of Blue Lock. We also have Ego noticing Isagi reaching the path of flow. He says that Isagi has set a path to the equation to create miracles. This is something a striker had to do, to be able to use flow to score goals that looks like miracles. Ego explains further into detail about Ego and just how active it needs to be able to enter flow. Isagi is constantly taking Ego's lessons into consideration and thinking about how to incorporate it into his game. He's constantly taking in new information for himself and finding new ways to get better to win. Ego has set forth a mentality that all of Blue Lock will get. They know to carve their egos into the world and take the spotlight for themselves. Isagi has no considerations of being a lamb to Rin, and this is what Ego expected. He wants everyone to see themselves as a protagonist and to never waver and back down. An aggressive offensive unit that only scores goals. A team that can give up 5 goals but win by scoring 6. Ego's only message at the under 20 halftime is to overwhelm them with offense. He tells them there is no need for more than one protagonist, letting them all know that it is a fight with the opponent, but also a fight with themselves. Isagi goes to Ego for help, and Ego does not help at first, and Isagi tells him to find a way to make them win. He directly insults Ego and tells him that this is the Ego that he taught them. He cannot go in with the mentality of losing, which I agree. For Ego to just give up in that point would have made no sense, but we find out that Ego was planning to win all along. He just had no idea that the passion of Blue Lock would go this far. It goes to show how much Ego has imprinted onto Isagi and just how far he has changed from the beginning of the series to now. Ego is now giving them the opportunity to play in world-class clubs and showcase their value. He wants to see how Blue Lock can rise to the top of these clubs and just what will they bring about here. Isagi of course goes to Moonchen to play with Noel Noa, and he's pumped as he now gets to learn from Noel Noa, and he knows he will keep growing to a whole nother level if he keeps winning. Ego's already imprinted his vision into Isagi and now has sent him off to learn under the #1 striker currently. Isagi starts to see his path as becoming the best in the world too as he stands with Noel Noa in his presence. He knows just how big this opportunity is and wants to see the world's best striker in person. He first starts to understand Noah's philosophy about Moonchen, which is a team that wins with logic. The people who can get into the starting unit are the ones with the best data and numbers that they have climbed from. Isagi knows that it's different than Ego's personal bias on who to start. Moonchen is a team that uses data survival based on numbers. Isagi goes to Noel Noa asking for help on how to increase his numbers so that he can win against Kaiser. Noel Noa is a person who will not give you a straight answer, but instead have you think about yourself and be critical of yourself to find the answer. He tells Isagi to review his entire way of thinking. He was unable to come up with an ideal that can win against Noel Noa. He lets Isagi know how to visualize an ideal situation that he can explain and verbalize completely. He's able to change Isagi's thinking again and get him to not have wishful thinking in his thought process and have logical means. He needed to review his own thinking to find what he lacks in himself, and Noah will not give him those answers. Isagi is finally able to understand Noel Noa's philosophy about doing things every day to becoming the best in the world. This is the philosophy of the greatest striker in the world. To continue to work on yourself every single day to becoming the best. Isagi must do these things if he wants to become the best. He can't just rely on information from others on what to do to get better. He understands just how big your mindset has to be to become the best in the world, and he doesn't take it for granted anymore. I think at first Isagi just had wishful thinking on becoming the best in the world, but he didn't actually know what steps he should take in order to get closer to that goal. He realized he couldn't get close to the master strikers as the gap between them is still too big, and he can't visualize a play that can beat them currently. This is what makes him eventually decide to go after Kaiser instead first to get closer to Noel Noa. Noel Noa enters the game from Manshine and lets Moon-chan know that he will ally himself with whoever plays the most logically. That Moon-chan has two styles of play, an efficient logical way of Kaiser as a scorer, and then Blue Lock's way of chemical reactions. Isagi has fully processed both playstyles and starts to use the logical playstyle, but instead he is at the front instead of Kaiser. He's using more logical ways to score than ever and is able to visualize more since gaining metavision, and his Blue Lock playstyle is now fused into his Moon-chan playstyle. Isagi even asked KiiNGKhyy to team up with him because that is the most logical way to win, and he knows he is starting to showcase himself to become king, just like Kaiser. But KiiNGKhyy declines because KiiNGKhyy is still in Blue Lock's playstyle of devouring each other and scoring at the expense of your own teammates. Isagi has now adopted Moon-chan's rational playstyle and is trying to set up the pieces that will allow him to score goals. He then realized that everyone is their own protagonist, just like how Ego has said once before, and that his thinking was too shallow. During this Manshine match, Isagi has now been able to fuse both teachings of Ego and Noel Noa into his playstyle. He can see his logical strategies and can also see his devouring strategies. He has reached a revolutionary style of play, fusing chaos and rationality into one. Because of this, Noel Noa teams up with him for playing the most logically as Isagi ran out of options to score a goal. Isagi is now able to see many options and visualize them just like Noel Noa wanted him to, but could not pick the best one, and then Noah helps him by telling him to choose the option that he desires the most, and that is to destroy Kaiser. He is now fusing both his logical way of scoring by having Noel Noa and KiiNGKhyy as the three pair to score, while also using his Blue Lock style of scoring by devouring Kaiser and KiiNGKhyy in the process. This is the aggressive rational playstyle that Isagi has, and that Moon-chan is fully adopting. He is able to take over the game as a puppet master and fully control everyone, including the world's #1 striker. It sucks he didn't score here, as the main goal is to be a striker who scores goals, but it showcases his abilities even more to become the best player in the field. He has a talk with Noah after the game and is able to tell him exactly how he's going to defeat Kaiser next time, but with goals instead of assists. Noah sits down with him and wants to know exactly what he is thinking, so they talk for a while, as Isagi explains to him metavision and egocentrism. Noel Noa is finally able to understand why Ego chose Isagi, as he sees the similarities between Isagi and Ego as they were once teammates a long time ago. Isagi has fully transitioned into quite the player and now has a mix of both Noel Noa and Ego, and he will only get better as he continues to adapt to everything that comes to him. Right now he's trying to figure out Snuffy so that he can also incorporate that style into his game, and he only wants to continue to improve and become the world's best. I think the lessons taught by Ego and Noah have helped Isagi immensely, as he would not be the kind of player he is without these two. Yoani Moon-chan was a perfect choice for Isagi, as he needed a smaller challenge to get closer to Noel Noa, and Kaiser is the perfect rival for him. He can use Kaiser to get even closer to becoming the world's best, and use that path that will lead him right to Noel Noa. Noah's already seen the light in Isagi, and Ego has seen it too. It's only a matter of time before Isagi reaches the lights of the world and makes his own path. Living life as you want is what being an egoist means. Isagi has reflected already on how Blue Lock has changed him, and just the kind of person he is now. He knows that by continuing this path, he will become the best and wants to go back to the battlefield and win. This is what it feels like to be in Blue Lock. Isagi will take over Ego and Noel Noa and become the best striker in the world from their teachings. Well, I hope you guys like this video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll be back in the next one. Peace.